Hello, this is your virtual life coach, Michael Lewis. Well, here's a riddle for you. You can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't touch it, but you know it's there. You can't measure it or package it or bottle it up and sell it. It's just itself. What is it? It's freedom. People get passionate about freedom. I need my freedom. I'm all cooped up in this relationship or this classroom or this job or this life. Fill in the blank. Everybody wants it, but freedom for one person may be different from freedom for another person. Or it might be like jail time for another person. That's because freedom is basically an idea. And that makes it pretty much the thing that's the most intimate and the most personal to things. It's about the most personal and intimate thing that you've got, actually, freedom. People have always been aware of freedom, but their take on it has changed over the centuries. Like the ancient Romans worshipped freedom. They had two gods of freedom, a male and a female, Liber and Libertas, and that's where you get the word liberty from. Liber was also the god of wine and inebriation, because that was what was associated with freedom. And that's where we not only get liberty, but also libation, which means a holy drink, because getting intoxicated, getting drunk was like a holy thing back there in the Roman times, where they had a lot more fun than we did in some ways. So his motto literally was, if it feels good, do it. So we also get the word libertine for a completely immoral person. That all comes from that god of wine and freedom, Liber. Now, the goddess Libertas was also regarded as the mother of prostitution, because that profession began with the priestesses in her temple, where one would pay for an evening of what they called holy cleansing. So she was also very popular. And she was actually on a lot of Roman coins. And the Statue of Liberty is actually patterned after Libertas, like that. Only in the original, and you can Google this, I'm actually telling you the truth. Up here in her hand is not a torch, but a bottle or cup of wine. That's what she's holding. Now, the United States Navy, when the Statue of Liberty got delivered to New York, they requested that they shift that golden wine cup that she was holding into a torch, so that it could be a signal to approaching ships at night. So that's why she's holding a torch there and not a gold wine cup. That gold wine cup is now on display somewhere in Russia. So there have been a lot of interpretations and misinterpretations of freedom. Personal freedom can be a spiritual thing. For many people, it means simply being understood. Have you ever had a great talk with someone and you suddenly just totally got them and they totally got you? And the whole world just suddenly became unimportant and everything made sense. It's a wonderful feeling. It's freedom. Did you ever puzzle over a problem that just seemed so overwhelming that there was no way you could fix it or solve it? And then comes a flash of insight. You realize how you can make this work, how you can make this all go away. What a relief. Freedom. Now, I love this definition of freedom, full and complete understanding, because it means that every time you fully understand something or someone, or anytime someone fully understands you, you're unleashing that much more freedom into the world. I used to wonder why I would feel so good after hearing an amazing concert, or get such a charge out of an amazing movie or a Beethoven symphony or a great work of art. It's because they're talking to you. They get you. They understand you. And you feel that bond. You feel that connection. You feel that understanding. And it just elevates everything and makes you feel free. Possibly you felt that way a time or two. Now, of course, another definition of freedom is the ability to act without restraints. Nobody wants to be held down, held back, locked up, ordered around, beaten up, bullied, made to do things they don't want to do. On the other hand, what would happen if there were suddenly no restraints on anyone and people could do whatever they want? So, while some people love freedom, there are others who are suspicious about it, feel threatened about it, even hate it, at least for other people. I mean, what would happen if certain people could do whatever they wanted, right? The whole social structure would dissolve and we'd turn into raving beasts, right? Well, I'm not so sure. There was a book that was famous back in the 50s called Lord of the Flies, which tells the story of these boys who get shipwrecked on an island. And there are no grown-ups around, and they have total freedom and zero restraints, and they go nuts. And they start killing each other and doing all kinds of savage, awful things. Now, that was a novel. It was a work of fiction. Now, on the other hand, in the 1960s, a bunch of boys actually did get shipwrecked on an island with no grown-ups. And what happened with them is they knew they needed each other to survive, so they kind of evolved their own system of government, their own system of staying alive, where each person knew their place and their job. And after a week or two, they basically started their own miniature civilization right there on the island. So by the time a ship did pick them up, they were all in pretty good shape. So real freedom is never dangerous, because when a person is truly free, he's also free from fear, which means he doesn't have to be mean to anyone, and he can simply be himself, because a lot of this stuff is motivated by fear, you know. Anyway, when a person is fully himself, he's a good and ethical person. You've felt that way. Of course you have. Now, only the people who are afraid of other people or of their own shadows are capable of hurting other people. So they're not free at all. If you can think of someone who really, really wronged you, deeply, deeply wronged you in some way or another, you probably don't have very happy feelings toward that person right now. But realize that that person is more a slave than free. They're not only acting out of fear, but they've also no longer believe in themselves. And along with that goes their pride and their self-respect and their goodness and their honor. That person who wronged you so terribly is a lost soul. But not you. Freedom is such a huge, all-encompassing subject that when you think about it, it's really the only thing that human beings ever talk about or plan their lives around or go to work for or fall in love for when you really think about it. People want to be more free to eat, to live, to have shelter, to love, to help, to be helped, to laugh, to create, to enjoy. Like, do you want to have a better job? Do you want to get along better with your spouse or your significant other? Do you wish that problem, whatever it is, would go away? You know, whatever it is, debts or I don't know. All these are different ways of saying that you desire more freedom. All the videos on my YouTube channel, no matter what their titles are, no matter what their subjects are all basically about freedom. In fact, just about all 10 zillion instructional or informational videos on all of YouTube are either about freedom or they pretend to be about freedom. So here's a key point about freedom. You can't be free if you take someone else's freedom away. If you think of someone who tried to take some freedom away from you, someone who tried to put a chokehold on your freedom, like a nasty teacher or a corrupt business associate or a shady family member, realize they're doing more harm to themselves than they are to you. I won't ask you to think of a time you tried to deny someone else's freedom. We won't go into that, so don't think about that. How do you measure freedom? You can't. But you sure know when you need more of it. Now, not everybody is allowed inside the Freedom Club. There are certain things that get you locked out. We'll go over a couple of them. The first one is dishonesty. If you do something you know is wrong and then you lie about it or you don't tell anyone about it, it's going to eat away from you because you're a good person. And if you accumulate enough of these, you're going to chain yourself up because you know deep down inside you don't deserve to be free. Because look at what you did. It's dangerous to let you out. The only way out of that is to just own up to what you did, and however way you can, take some kind of responsibility for it. It can feel really good. Someone I knew once held up a 7-Eleven. He took several $1,000s and he escaped in a stolen car. Cops never caught him, but it ate away from him. It ate away at him because he was a good guy down deep. And it bugged him. And finally, he just said, heck with it. And he turned himself in. He pled guilty and he willingly went to jail. He was so relieved and so happy to be in jail. There he is in jail behind bars with a great big smile on his face. And you can be sure that once he got out, he went hard to work helping other kids walk the straight and narrow path. He's a happy man. He's free. So freedom and dishonesty do not mix. Here's another one. This one is the big one. It's a surefire freedom killer, and it will ruin your life. And that thing is just simply ideas. Not just any ideas, these kind of ideas. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Why should I even try? Look at all this stuff I have to get through, all this red tape before I can even start the business. What's the point? I should just quit. What do all these ideas have in common besides just being inside your head? What do they all have in common? Two things. Number one, they run yourself down and tell you you can't do something, that you're weak, that you're unable and not smart. And two, they put your attention on the obstacles, the walls, the barriers that stop and entrap you rather than the open roads, the broad blue sky, and the infinite possibilities that free you. So it's not so much that you've got barriers, because the barriers are there. Of course they're there, and of course things can be tough. But if you're fixed on those barriers and you're just looking at the barriers and the stops and things, of course, you've already trapped yourself, because you're looking at what you can't do rather than what you can do. And you're looking at the stops rather than the open doors. And that's the sure way to build solid prison walls around yourself. And remember, it's just ideas. They're just ideas. I bet you can think of a goal that you have right now. That one. Now, see if you can think of all the things that might come up to stop you on that goal. All the red tape, all the barriers, all the people, all the learning curves and all like that. It's kind of like yucky, but now get the idea that there's no barriers, zero, nothing in your way, clean freeway, limitless speed limit. It's a bit of a better feeling, right? And you'll hit your goal easier. Freedom! Why does it feel so good? Why is there such relief and joy accompanied with increased freedom? Well, the answer is very simple. Freedom is you. You are freedom. You, right there. So the more free you feel, the more you are, which is a terrific feeling. So what are you doing searching for it or fighting for it or yelling about it when it's been right there all along, quietly and eternally and amazingly being you? And that's all I have to say for now. So until next time, love each other, take your vitamins, observe posted speed limits, play nice, and never lose sight of who you are. Never, never, never lose sight of who you are. So long for now.